Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Langer at the Mic Live, this Habs postgame show. Let's go! The Montreal Canadiens with a huge bounce-back win against the Toronto Maple Leafs, beating them 2-1 at Scotiabank Arena. We're in our makeshift studio here in Montreal, so basically just my laptop. We don't have my microphone and interface and all that, but we're going to make this work as best we can here on Langer at the Mic Live postgame show. And what a win that was. Or, you know what I should say? That was another very ugly and boring win. And you know what? It seemed like things are going to be just the same old garbage that we saw from the last three games from the Canadiens in the last 40 minutes, they were completely lost on defense and turnovers and low percentage plays, like just forcing passes, stretch passes through the neutral zone, turning into icings and turnovers, not possessing the puck, not winning one-on-one battles, getting beat by passes because they were flat-footed and puck watching, getting outshot and outshot blocked, which means more bad shot selections. And on multiple occasions, we're just there yelling, freaking shoot, For me, there was an instance with Drouin in the first period. There was Armia on a 2-on-1 in the second period. You had Arturi Lehkonen, who had like half an hour to shoot from out far. He could have taken three extra strides into the slot and ripped it on net, and he didn't shoot. But you know what? The Habs just, in the second intermission, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened in that second intermission. I don't know if it's something that Claude Julien said. I don't know if it's something that Captain Shea Weber said or Brendan Gallagher said, but the Habs just came out a completely different team in the third period, and they did what they needed to do to win this hockey game and bounce back from a 2-game losing streak, losing 2 games in back-to-back nights, getting shut out by the Edmonton Oilers on home ice on Thursday, and struggling, of course, last week against the Ottawa Senators. They came out in the third period like we thought they should have looked all season, or like they looked in the first 10 games of the season. They're possessing the puck, they're forcing the Leafs defensemen into turnovers, they're winning one-on-one battles, they were winning ice and winning their battles in key scoring areas, and they were not giving the Leafs too many dangerous looks at Carey Price. And speaking of which, let's get right into some good and bad habits here. And who else to start with than Carey effing Price? Because the Montreal Canadiens, they don't win this game tonight if it wasn't for the way Carey Price played. He played like he stole 2 points for the Canadiens, plain and simple, There was the really nice save on Marner early on, which could have been a highlight reel goal. He dangled his way through. Obviously, Marner was the one who scored, but he dangled his way through. I think it was Sherrod or Weber who were just lost on the play and then went backhand 5-hole, and Price just stopped them easily. He had a really nice blocker save on Austin Matthews on the power play. He also stopped Matthews on a breakaway when Matthews just lost the puck a little bit. He had made a really gutsy play to come out of his net and play it away when Matthews could have had a very easy breakaway. I feel like Carey Price, what he did really well tonight compared to the last several games where he's been struggling, to me, Price has been struggling at tracking the puck. Whether it was on the Dermott goal from Wednesday's loss to the Leafs, or even the Justin Hall goal, where sure, he had all day to rip a slap shot from the blue line, but I feel like Price, where he's been struggling this year, has been tracking the puck and reading it off shooters' blades. But what he did really, really well tonight was track the puck well. He made a couple of really nice glove saves that he made look easy, just as he's done throughout most of his career. Didn't give up any rebounds on those plays. He followed the puck well. He's always really good at being in good position, following the play. But tonight, the biggest difference I feel like tonight versus the previous, the games where he's been struggling is his puck tracking. He only made 21 saves tonight, but like I said, when the Canadiens were just, playing really badly in the first 2 periods, there were a lot of dangerous chances that the Leafs had, and Price had to be really good on those dangerous chances. And to me, he stole 2 points to the Montreal Canadiens tonight, and he did it in his red pads to boot. He also went back to his cyborg Slipknot whatever goalie mask, but again, just look, he stole 2 points, and Carey Price haters can take the L tonight. Next, I'm going to talk about Phillip Danault. Before I do, I'm just going to grab a quick sip of water here. But yeah, before the game, obviously the big story, like right during the warm-up, was that Thomas Tatar was a healthy scratch. And, you could have made an argument that Phillip Danault, or just, there was a strong sense that Phillip Danault should have been the one scratched over Thomas Tatar. And I personally argued that, Tatar, even though he's been struggling, he did have the one out of the last 4 goals the Montreal Canadiens scored. And he does bring an element offensively to a team that was struggling to score going into this game and continued to struggle to score through the first 40 minutes. And while sure, Danault isn't replaceable as a center, if you take that aside, Phillip Danault was the worst Montreal Canadiens forward through the last 4 games where the Habs have been struggling. Okay, maybe at least the last 2 games, because he was really good against the Ottawa Senators in the 2 games against the Senators. But in the last 2 games, Danault has been really struggling and has been the worst forward on the Montreal Canadiens, at least in the last 2. So, and he continued to play like the worst forward on the Montreal Canadiens tonight through the first 40, because obviously he continued to struggle offensively. Still has no goals on the season, but now, he lost the puck battle behind the net to Austin Matthews, which led to Matthews take it to the net, Price getting with the paddle and the rebound going back in front to Mitch Marner, who buried it from a good scoring position. So essentially the lost battle, Phillip Danault's lost battle behind the net, led to the Mitch Marner goal. So you're thinking, okay, well, Phillip Danault, if he can't be good offensively, at least he could be good defensively. And he wasn't even good defensively through at least the first 20 minutes of this game. And then led to the Marner goal. And then even I feel like he wasn't as effective in the offensive zone or in the faceoff circle. So in the faceoff circle, even though he still kept getting a lot of offensive zone faceoffs. And after the Leafs were icing the puck, he kept getting those offensive zone faceoffs. So I felt like he should have been getting those offensive zone faceoffs, and he wasn't even winning a lot of them. Or at least there was one in particular that he lost cleanly after the Leafs had been hemmed in their zone and iced the puck. So it's like, okay, you think he'd put the Suzuki line out there, or maybe even the Evans line, or just another line that could do something offensively, right? But Danault was the one out there and lost the draw. But anyway, like the rest of the team, though, the bottom line is Phillip Danault turned it around and then some in the third period. He assisted on Tyler Toffoli's game-tying goal. He also made a really, really key pass breakup at the blue line in the Canadiens' defensive zone when they're kind of like scrambling, or the Leafs were just possessing the puck well, and he broke up a pass with his shin pad at the in the Canadian zone late in the third period, and of course he assisted on the Tyler Toffoli game tying goal. If I didn't say that already, he still needs to score goals. Look, he still needs to break that donut in his under the goals column of his stats. But again, the fact that he played much better in the third period and he turned things around like the Habs did deserves a lot of credit for that. With that being said, let's go next to Tyler Toffoli, because here, just one more sec here. I was going to say that Tyler Toffoli was approaching Michael Ryder territory, because much has been made in comparing Tyler Toffoli to Michael Ryder through the first 10 games of the season, because they both wear number 73. They're both right-handed. They both score goals. But here's the thing. The last couple of games, Tyler Toffoli obviously wasn't scoring, but he also wasn't really noticeable. And to me, that's where it's more like Michael Ryder, because when Michael Ryder wasn't scoring goals, you wouldn't notice him, right? But not only did he score the game-tying goal tonight, he almost single-handedly kept the Leafs from scoring when they emptied the net late in the third period and were trying to tie it up at 2. Because he held it in the Leafs zone, stick handling left and right. He obviously, he tried to take a couple of attempts at the empty net. To me, which was like, come on, just freaking bury it already. But you know what? He killed extra seconds of time that the Leafs could have had to tie it up. He killed them away in the offensive zone. And of course, he drew a turnover when the Leafs were trying to break out of their own zone, which led to him killing those seconds. And all while on a very long shift. So look, he finished with the goal, an assist on the Gallagher game-winning goal. He had 3 shots on goal, 3 hits. Tyler Toffoli, ladies and gentlemen, is not Michael Ryder. And then, of course, next, Brendan Gallagher. Just showed why he's one of the leaders on this team. And I actually was watching a bit of a feature on him yesterday and what he does in the offseason. And he would play ping pong in the offseason with the Devils' first-round pick. I think it was from 2018. I forget who exactly it was. But he was really good at ping pong when he was playing ping pong. And you'd think that playing ping pong and being really good at ping pong is really good for your hand-eye skills, right? Well, definitely was for Brendan Gallagher tonight, because he did it on the game-winning goal, tipping Jeff Petry's, not only tipping Jeff Petry's shot from the point, but stopping it in midair, winning his position in front of the net, turning around on his forehand and burying it on Freddie Anderson for the game-winning goal, or what ended up being the game-winning goal. And I actually thought Freddie Anderson stopped that at first. I really thought Freddie Anderson stopped that at first, so I didn't cheer until I saw the ref pointing and Chris Cuthbert, saying, "Oh, he scores," whatever. So that is only then did I cheer. but that was the most important play of the game, and not to mention the fact that Gallagher finished with a goal. He also assisted, of course, on the Danault goal, or sorry, the Toffoli goal, which Danault also assisted on. But also Gallagher had 5 shots on net, 15 minutes of ice time, and yeah, just he played. He scored. He made the most important play of the game on that game-winning goal there. Now I want to mention Josh Anderson as well, because Josh Anderson, the Suzuki line with Anderson and Jonathan Drouin was good because of Josh Anderson. Tonight, he was an absolute train. He had 6 hits, and, he was creating time and space for Suzuki and Drouin. Even though their line didn't score, I felt like they were the best line. They're the best forward line on the Habs over the course of the entirety of the game. Now, the Danault line did turn up in the third, and obviously they got the 2 goals. But over the entirety of the game, Suzuki's line was the best because of Josh Anderson skating hard, creating time and space for that line, and just it's so nice to continue seeing Josh Anderson playing well against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and just hopefully he keeps scoring goals like he did in the opener, and like he did in the game on Wednesday, scoring the opening goal on Wednesday. Now, I also want to talk about Victor Mete, because Victor Mete naturally came in for Brett Kulak in this one. And I feel like Victor Mete, of the 3 games he played, I think it was 3 games that he played so far, this was by far his best game, because he played well at both ends of the ice, And also, by the way, Mete was the first Canadian in this game, the first Canadian defenseman in this game to properly play a 2-on-1. Because, like I said, the Canadiens, through the first 40 minutes, they were just flat-footed. They were letting passes beat them. They were just terrible with stick positioning and letting the Leafs just beat them with passes left and right through the slot, back door and all that. In fact, even Matthews missed a couple of chances like that got through to him. But again, there was a play in the second period where he broke up a 2-on-1 very nicely, and guess what? He led the rush. And yeah, just his speed was on full display tonight, and I feel like he played a very productive 13 minutes and 51 seconds, and his advanced stats were good tonight. Again, I'm not a huge advanced stats guy. I'm a little bit more of an eye test guy, but when the eye test is good and the advanced stats are good, well, means he played well. So we'll go with that. And then last but not least, in terms of good habits tonight, you got to give some love and respect to Claude Julien. Like, you just do, because he was on the hot seat all day, or all week pretty much, with the way the Habs have played, and including myself. I tweeted earlier today at Mike Langer on my Twitter account that, as much as I have a lot of respect for Claude Julien, he's definitely my favorite Canadiens head coach from the last 15 years, over Terrien, over Jacques Martin, over Carbo, right? Claude Julien is my favorite Canadiens head coach. He still can be a capable NHL head coach, I believe, but I was also, with the way the Habs have been playing these last couple of games and with how they've been playing the last several years, I'd also be down to see Joel Bouchard, what this group or what this roster would be able to do under Joel Bouchard, the minor league coach for the Laval Rocket. So, but you know what? Guess what? Like, his seat got hotter. Claude Julien's seat got even hotter through the first 40 minutes, but he deserves a lot of credit, because whether you like it or not, a lot of criticism towards Claude Julien has been their lack of ability to adjust. But guess what? In some way, some shape or form, the Montreal Canadiens adjusted in that third period, and that's why they won this hockey game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Claude Julien deserves love and credit for that. Now, I could talk a whole lot of bunch about bad habits in this one, because there were plenty on display through the first 40 minutes. I already mentioned them, and I've mentioned them for the last 4 games already, so I'm not going to get too much into that much more here. But I will say this, and this was confirmed on Twitter and, just by, again, watching the game, that Jesperi Kotkaniemi has just not been the same since taking that Dylan Dubé hit against the Calgary Flames a couple weeks ago. I find he's not forechecking as relentlessly. He's just not as strong on the puck. He even on the third period in one shift, he overskated the puck like 3 times on one shift, Like, he's not scoring, obviously, only has 1 goal in the season. He had a beautiful chance on a rebound where it was a shot from the point that Lehkonen swatted at that hit Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson was down and out, and it was lying right there for KK, but Kotkaniemi just friggin' roofed it over the net instead of burying it. And it was right there for him for the taking, Like, yeah, I feel like bubble Jesperi Kotkaniemi would have scored on that, you know? And just I feel like Kotkaniemi right now is closer to 2019 Kotkaniemi or pre-bubble Kotkaniemi than bubble Jesperi Kotkaniemi or, first 10 games since up to Dubé hit Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Just the bottom line is, look, he's still 20 years old, but he needs to be better. Just plain and simple, especially when Philip Deneau, even though he turned it up in the third period, Jesperi Kotkaniemi needs to be better if Philip Deneau is going to struggle going forward. But you know what? That's all. That's all for today. This was another ugly win, and it was against a hot Leafs team. Take that, Steve Dangle. And Joel Edmondson and other Canadian players, Canadians, before the game today, said how this would be a different team tonight than through the previous 4 games, and they were not a different team, or they were, because they were even worse through the first 40 minutes of this one. But guess what? They turned it up in the third when it mattered most, and they were good enough in the third period alone to win this hockey game. So you know what? Better late than never. And again, like I said on Twitter, like I said in my last post-game show, bad teams will have all teams will have stretches like this in a 82-game season, even in a 56-game season. But you know what? When bad teams have stretches like these, of losing 2 in a row in back-to-back nights, losing 3 out of the last 4, they let those bad stretches turn to 8-game losing streaks like the Canadiens did twice last year, and also had another 5-game losing streak. But you know what? Good teams, they bounce back. Good teams, they answer the bell. And while this is just one game, the Montreal Canadiens for now bounced back and answered the bell. And let's see if they can answer it again next week after a full week off against the same Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's why I'm not going to chirp Steve Dangle and Leaf fans too much here, because they still play 7 more times against each other, and the Leafs can win 7 of those times, all 7 of those games. And even if they do, or it won't matter until the playoffs, because even if the Montreal Canadiens win all 7 of those games and face the Leafs in the playoffs and lose to the Leafs, and the Leafs win a playoff series for the first time since 2004, well, who will have the last laugh? So I'm just here for the last laugh in terms of this renowned Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs rivalry. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching this episode, this awesome Habs-Leafs post-game show. Episode of Langer at the mic. Hope it turned out okay despite the not being in my usual studio in Toronto. But as usual, if you enjoy my commentary, give a big thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel here, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Mike Langer. I'll include that in the description below. And thank you so much for watching this Montreal Canadiens post-game show here on Langer at the Mic Live, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.